Hey, it's the Chief with HAMTAG.
HAMTAG, we're here.
Joined with Greg Schmidtkins, Judd Vance, and we're coming to you on Bonding with Board Games. Please, if you haven't, pause, go subscribe real quick. It'll help us out. And please, any comments that you want to put in there, put your own top fives, because today we're covering war games that made me the grog I am. Whose topic suggestion was this? This is yours, really. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not much of a grog, so this list is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think you're the biggest grog here. Why don't we start with you? Are you good with that?
Yeah. So this made me the Greg I am today.
The Greg I am.
My number 5 list, and mine is kind of built up chronologically from when they impacted me. My number 5 game is Blitzkrieg, the old Avalon Hill favorite. It was designed in 1965, credited to Larry Pinsky and Tom Shaw. The reason why this is the first game on my list is this is the first, I'd played other games. I remember the Parker Brothers. The ones that stick in my head besides Risk were the Parker Brothers 1863 and all the Milton Bradleys, the Hit the Beach and Assault and Skirmish, Broadside, all of those. But this game, they had an article in the Parade Sunday Supplement in 1967 where they talked about Avalon Hill games, and this was, they're a big new game because it had it's 28 by 33 map, a bigger than average map, and it had fictional forces with armor and paratroopers and bombers and fighters. And I saw that. It was in September 1967, so I had to have that for Christmas. So this is the first game that really started me on my journey toward wargaming. Blitzkrieg, 1965 by Avalon Hill. My number 5 game that made me the grog I am today.
Okay. Mine was the first war game I was ever exposed to. Battle of the Bulge, same designers, Larry Pinsky and Tom Shaw. 1965, this was redone in 81, Avalon Hill. My dad brought it home. I had never seen anything. I didn't even know about the Battle of the Bulge. I was putting model airplanes together and running World War II, but I had never heard of it. We set this up, and him being a great dad is going to let me take the Americans. And I was just, oh my goodness, look at this strength of these units. How am I going to hold it back? How is he not moving any better than he is? Because the rough terrain. Never seen hexes, combat results tables, engaged, odds-based, things like this. Now this game has got some criticism with it's outdated, it's not really historically accurate, all this. Hey, for a kid who knew nothing about this battle, I learned real quick why Bastogne and St. Vith were important. And why the Germans were so caught up in that horrible forest and terrain trying to break through the thing. So it's teaching basic ideas and it's a whole lot of fun, about 2-hour game. But that was my first exposure. Battle of the Bulge as I was 10 years old.
Nuts.
That's right. Right there, nuts.
Yes.
I thought that was
the
cool.
Germans were perplexed. What does that mean? All right. I'm not a grog, but I played as a kid. I was doing, of course, checkers and chess, and then I remember my grandparents got me Chinese checkers, Risk. I got a hold of Risk, and I think I played it at a neighbor's house, and I was thinking, oh, this is something. You're literally forcing in on somebody else. The open nature, kind of. It was open for me as a kid that where am I going to go? Collecting your cards as you do, and then, putting your plan into action. So Risk is number 5 on what made me the grog I am.
Okay, number 4 on my list was Midway by Avalon Hill. This is a game on the Battle of Midway, but you've got the hidden forces. You're moving your task forces around, and it's like the old game Battleship. I'm searching in zone A3. Oh, I've got something in that area, and then you're preparing your airplanes, and you send them out with fighter escort or by themselves until you run out of airplanes, and you're trying to sink the other guy. You're trying to keep the Atago represents the entire Japanese invasion force. And so I played this a lot. I remember when I first started subscribing to the General, there was an article about how to do anvil attacks. If you've got your Air Forces over the fleet, this is how you do the attacks, so you can guarantee sinking the carriers. And I just thought, oh, this is so cool. So we played this a lot. This is one, we would play it multiple times in an evening, different strategies every time. Oh, this time I'm going to search here. This time I'm going to move there. Midway was my number 4 game. That's when I realized I could play them a lot and play them over and over because of the variability. Midway, Avalon Hill.
A lot of love. We've got some tape. We've got some water damage over here.
That's right.
It's just it traveled with you a lot. Love it.
Yep.
That's some love there.
By the way, these games Greg and I have introduced, they're really old, but they made so many of them. You can get most of these for under $20. I think all 3 of these you can get for under 20. So still worth getting. Oh, it's my turn. Okay, my number 4 is, oh goodness, second.
There we go. It's close. He hid this one.
There we go. Julius Caesar, Columbia Games. Back around, I think it was 2010, my friend Aaron was going to Board Game Geek convention, and he was going to be teaching somebody Hammer the Scots, so he wanted me to be his guinea pig. Taught my first exposure to block games. Thought it was really fun, but he and I tend to be Ameritrashers, so we went over a year without playing it. And I had picked up Liberty in a trade, but it was when I took a chance on this. I hadn't got to play Liberty. I got this, I think 2011 or 12, I guess. I got this. And we played it, I loved it, and from that moment I was hooked on block games. And since then I've acquired 30 of them since that time. Various difficulty levels and things like that. But I'm a big block gamer, and I owe it. This is the one that really sold me, and I've even got Hammer the Scots since. And this is my favorite of the Hammer styles that Columbia put out. But this is the one I owe it all to. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be playing all those block games today. My number 4, Julius Caesar. By the way, that's autographed by Green.
Yeah, I saw that. It's all signed. Someone put graffiti on there.
That's right.
All right, if Risk is the first war game that even tells me, hey, I like war games when I'm gaming, then I came back, because I left, and we'll get to some of my other ones in a bit, but I left war games kind of gaming all together until about 2006, 2007. And it was mostly, worker placement, Euro-ish things. And then I see Memoir 44. So my number 4 is Memoir 44 for the fact that I had moved away almost thinking like, well, I've graduated from war games. There's these other games that are more social that I'm in that handle a lot of players that move, they're over quickly. And so Memoir resurfaces in that genre, and I'm thinking, look at that. There's something there. And then when I played it, the first time I played it, I was frustrated because I couldn't, my plan was, hey, I'm going to move this strong left flank and I'm going to come in and do this thing over here. And I couldn't get the card. And I was like, what's going on? And then as I played through and I realized, oh, this is cool. I've got to adjust my plans as I go. I can't just have my goal and do exactly. It's not perfect information or perfect orders. So Memoir 44 is my number 4 for what made me the grog I am.
Okay, my number 3 that made me the grog I am. This is actually the box for Advanced Third Reich, but it was Rise and Decline of the Third Reich by Avalon Hill. It turned into this. This is where you're fighting the entire European front, and you're spending production points, and you're deciding if you want to build infantry or armor or air power or navy power. This game was one of the 2 hardest games I remember having to learn. It took me a long time before I could figure out how all of the pieces and all of the things for, this is how you have to do declarations of war, and this is how you work. Oh, I'm trying to think of the attrition phase, where you can cause some damage and you save your basic resource points, but you're not really advancing very far. When do you do that? When's not a good time to do that? So learning all of those things made this one of the hardest games I ever had to learn, and so it prepared me for the other hard games that I've learned since then. So this is my number 3 game that made me the grog I am today, at Rise and Decline of the Third Reich.
How many hours does it take to complete?
Oh,
And it's a 2-player only game, right?
No, it's multiple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Bubs plays lots of multiplayers.
this?
The,
Is it more
the
than
original
2-player?
Rise and Decline.
It can be. That's right. That one.
Everybody
yeah.
takes different countries.
Yeah.
And this one, is this just a 2-player game at the advance?
I don't. That's all I've ever played it.
Gotcha.
This says players 2 to 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I
Italy
think,
and
I think part of
France.
it, when I first came here to Wichita, we had a Wichita Wargamers group that met. It was part of our free university. And I went up there and we sat down, and I think then we played the SPI version, the SPI game, World War II, and they gave me France. So I basically did nothing for the afternoon. And that's why I don't play these multiplayer. It was a kind of a negative experience.
Sure.
Okay.
That's my 3.
What's funny is Grogs get a reputation for grouchy. That rule book in Rise and Decline gets me really grouchy. If they could make a font any smaller, it would be really. I was like, because get my age, your eyes start to go on you. Oh, it's
Hunter
tiny.
Dog
It's
my
tiny.
age.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I probably would have ended up with Poland.
I don't think you can play them, but you can be like Italy and
Nailed
Slovenia.
both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't no getting out of that one.
My number, what are we on? 3?
3.
3. Storm Over Arnhem by Avalon Hill. Courtney Allen designed this. It is out of print. The Julius Caesar's in print. This one you can get about $35 to $50. This is important to me because I am a big Area Impulse fan. This was my first exposure to it. Found it down, and we always talked about the game headquarters down at Oklahoma City. Found it on the used shelf for like $20, and it was a classic. Thought I'd try it out. Loved it. Played with my friend Pete from Australia over Vassal. Love these games because almost all of them, if they don't have cards, they'll solo just perfectly. Play great with 2 players also. But my first exposure to the Area Impulse system, that led me to a whole bunch of others. I think I got 12 of them, made Vassal modules for 6 of them. So huge fan of the Area Impulse system, and this was the one that taught it to me. So
Gorgeous map.
Yes. My number 3, Storm Over Arnhem.
Yeah, I purchased this knowing it wasn't a solitaire game when that was all I was playing, in hopes that I could get one of my buddies to play it.
Well, there's no hidden info in that.
Yeah, I know, but it was, it's not the solitaire I was playing,
Yeah.
really, and I know
Right.
it could be. I solitaired it a couple times, but yeah, my hope was to bring a buddy in, and Atari was too big, couldn't get it done. All right, so again, I'm explaining this as I go. I had my love is clearly tactical war games, and after Memoir brings me back in when I'm in this Euro worker placement love phase, playing some Knizia stuff. Medici's awesome. I come across, it was weird actually, Conflict of Heroes rises up out of this land of like 2009 with all these Euro games, and it's got these bigger pieces, and it's got this fast, you're in and you're playing quicker, and there's not any CRTs. Everything's right on the counters, and I thought, now this is interesting, and I picked it up and I learned it at BGG, and I started playing it right away, and I loved it, and it is to date my favorite tactical World War II war game system. They need to get more out. But so Conflict of Heroes, the series, number 3 on the Grog IM.
Okay, number 2 on my list that made me the Grog I am today is We the People. This is the first of the card-driven games where the cards are the operations points or the events, and they're used to affect things on the map. I know there's a lot of discussion on how you define that specifically, but this was the first in its genre, and I play a lot of them from now on. I'd have to say that's what I play the most online, because I haven't gone over. What I do is Vassal, is Cyberboard, and the automatic card tracking system, ACTS, which is what handles most of the card-driven games. So my online playing is mostly there. Plus, I still do a lot of it face-to-face. I still do a lot of it when I go to conventions. So, that, as far as a group of games that I play, We the People is the number 2 for making me the grog I am today.
Okay. Around '08 or so, I started getting back into wargaming a little bit and dabbled in it. And I think I thought deep down it was just going to be just a little bit of reliving some old nostalgia from my childhood, but just a kind of a fad. And then I heard about the Wichita board gamers and thought, when I told the guy at the comic store, I was like, I don't play Magic and Warhammer, because that's all I ever saw him playing. He says, no, this is a different group. I said, you play Avalon Hill games? He goes, I think so. So I go there. I mentioned the last one. I meet Bart, and he teaches me no thanks. And I say, have you ever heard of Avalon Hill? Thinking he's going to say no. And Bart says, oh, yeah. And I was like, have you ever heard of a game, my number 2, called We the People? And he said, oh, yeah. And I said, anybody here play it? He goes, yeah, that guy over there, Greg. That got me immediately interested. I had got this game, heard of its reputation, because I was in the American Revolution. I'd got 1776. It wasn't cutting it for me. I got this, read the directions, fell in love with just reading it. I was so desperate to play this game, I wrote a computer program that would manage the battle cards. I created an artificial intelligence that I had a difficult time beating. I since deleted it because I was afraid it would take over the nuclear missiles. But I'd used its strategies when I'd play Greg, and I won a disproportionate amount of our combats because I had these killer strategies I was programming into it. But he always outgeneraled me, though. But anyway, this game was very important, not only just because it introduced me to card-driven games, which is I call it the Herman system because there's just too much controversy over it, but it introduced me to that. That's my favorite genre to play. It kept me going on games as I got into others, because that's why I went to the war. I'd play all these Eurogames, and they're okay, but it was because Greg played other stuff. I didn't want to bug me every week, but we'd get these games in every couple months, and this was what it was all about. And let's see. Also, the other thing that this is influential, it created an offshoot called Washington's War Redesigned. And that's what got me into Vassal, which is very important to me now. My friend John up in Canada kept bugging me to play, and I was like everybody else, I keep people from cheating in it. He said, let's just play Washington's War and giddy up. That's just say the magic words. And then I become a Vassal monster, made my own stuff and all this stuff. So this game's important to me. And I had never heard of the Great One until this game. I had Gulf Strike and didn't even know. I didn't put it all together until later on. So anyways, that's my number 2 game, We the People.
So shall we play a game?
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is Ambush. 1983, solitaire game. It's a squad where you're controlling individual soldiers. It's solitaire. It's got a choose your own adventure kind of book where you move and it tells you something. And now I'm back in time again, but this captured I'm a huge World War II history buff. Even then I was reading a lot, and this was the first time a game had put me into something. Now it's comic book Sergeant Rockish. There's no way you're taking out a Tiger or Panzer IV, but it was alive. And I spent hours and hours playing this game. It was to the point where the folks got nervous because why is he in his room all day? It's a beautiful day outside. And they would come and check on me. And then when they saw what I was doing, and I think verified he's doing something, they were like, okay, he's enjoying himself, whatever he's doing. So, but just loved it. And it's definitely what's made me the grog I am today.
Okay. And for people who watch this series, it's not going to be a surprise that the number 1 game that made me the grog I am today is Squad Leader. I can't show it because I don't even have the purple box anymore. It's worn out. I don't even have the Beyond Valor box. It's worn out because all of my pieces and boards and everything. I'm not even a completist. But I play Squad Leader and Advanced Squad Leader more than I play any other game. I play a couple dozen times at least a year. This year, I took some time off from other conventions and went to the Advanced Squad Leader Convention up in Kansas City. I went to the Advanced Squad Leader Convention down in Texas. I still play it a lot. The interesting thing is that when you talk about the tactical systems, I love this tactical system, I just wish they would put out more. I don't feel that way. That's part of, to me, what's different. If they never did anything else, if they never put out another scenario for Squad Leader or another gamette or anything else, I would feel like I have enough game there that I would enjoy it, and it would be my number one game from now on. So I don't feel that there's a lack because it doesn't have more, but that's just a different. My number one game that made me the grog I am today is Squad Leader.
You know, it's funny when you were teaching me that, he'd show me something like, oh, hey, I recognize that. That's from Conflict of Heroes. Hey, I know that. That's from Band of Brothers. You know, it's like I saw pieces of it where you could tell how it influenced all the other games.
And there's a lot for Squad Leader in ASL. I mean, for me, it's almost like
There is, but there's more. There's more than what I've got.
Right. Yes.
I know. I just have a small piece of the advanced Squad Leader universe.
Right.
I'll see guys selling them on the Facebook Marketplace. They're selling their collection. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, this how much of it they have. And I was like, good luck moving that whole thing.
Yeah, I've got a lot of it.
Okay, my number one was, okay, I mentioned Battle of the Bulge, and right afterwards I got Midway, but it was something I played, you know, maybe once, twice a year. You know, I went through 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, around there, and I was really playing sports games. And then about 8th grade, my friend Whit Miller, if anybody knows him, tell him to look me up. I haven't seen him since then. Introduced me to 2 games that changed my life. One was Kingmaker, which I kind of liked, but the other I adored, Starfleet Battles. You can tell how beat up this box is.
It's got electrical tape on it.
This is my second copy of it, and I knew I had a third copy. I don't know what happened to me, but I gave it away. He said, hey, you know, he knew I liked Star Trek. I was a Star Trek nerd, so it was really easy. Hooked me on it. I became obsessed, completist. I introduced other guys to it. We all played this thing. It was a way of life, and it got me. It opened the door. Like I said, Kingmaker. Plenty of other World War II games I got into. I was more into that than the other wars. So it opened up, and that's when I really got into wargaming for, you know, throughout early years of high school. And then I stopped, like a lot of us did, for 20 years or something, and then got back into it later. But this thing, that's what pulled me into it and got me hooked on the whole thing. Even when I got back into it, when I was at the comic store, I saw Federation Commander and thought, are those guys still in business? How'd they survive the video game boom? And I ended up buying Federation Commander. But this thing, funny is how it influenced me in other ways. I saw what it did to me, that I was so obsessed with the completist thing and never even playing near as much as the stuff that was put out, that the words way of life scared me later, because I was like, I don't want to do that. So when I started hearing, because I played Squad Leader, and then I heard about ASL, I kept hearing way of life, I'm not going there, not going there. So it kept me off of it for years until I finally got a play. I said, wow, that really is fun. But it took me a while to, you know, now that I'm older and wiser and disciplined, but just the word, if anybody ever threw the word way of life on a game, it just frightened me off, because I was like, I've been there already in my lifetime. Probably one of the most complex games I ever played. I mean, my rules are in a 3-ring binder, and I never went to the Captain's Edition. I stopped at Commanders. I programmed this for the Apple IIc, an Apple Basic code. My roommate and I would play it in college because it would manage you just tell it what you were firing, and it would roll it all up and apply all the damage, knock hours off of your games. And then later on, I programmed it in Visual Basic 6 and did everything but the map. So it's hugely influential. It taught me computer programming too. My number one, Starfleet Battles.
When did you first play it? Sorry.
1983.
I was just going to say one quick disclaimer. Apparently, I'm unique. I never had an off period when it was like, I didn't play games, because ever since I saw that article in Parade magazine, I've been doing it since, and there was no off switch.
Now, how old were you when?
Well, that would be 15.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, mine, it's funny, I wouldn't let go of them, because I remember I was moving around and I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I had my box of games, and sometimes I would pull out some of my old standbys, but I definitely would say I kind of fell off as I got into law enforcement. So my number one, again, no surprise, if you've watched the show at all, is B-17, Queen of the Skies. Yeah. It's the first Avalon Hill game I bought. Definitely made me the grog I am. It was funny because it was $15, and I thought, oh God, do I spend 15? Do I take a chance? I love this bomber, and it was my first exposure to the rules that are, you know, broke down in the typical Avalon rule system, and it underpromised, and there was a nice promise with the box cover, and it way over delivered for me. hours and hours. I created my own squadron, named every plane, had backup crews, awards. I mean, it was just in and in and in. I loved it, loved it, loved it. So it's when I knew it is the game where I said, wow, I am a gamer. Whatever it is, whatever comes across, as long as I can find something that trips the switch, I'm a gamer. So it's what made me the gamer I am.
So I just want, we always welcome your comments, but this was kind of a fun trip down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any games out there that were your games, let us know in the comments, because I'd like to hear. I'd like to think, oh yeah, I remember, because I could pick out the progression of things, but there's a lot of things that I had to leave out. I mean, leaving out what it was like rolling dice for Tobruk, what it was like for, all of the other games. For my, I didn't talk about Napoleon's, the Waterloo campaign, which was my first block game. I didn't talk about my first area movement game. So if there's anything that you want to mention, please leave a comment. It'll be fun to read those too.
Yeah, put your list in there and explain why they are where they are.
Yeah, it was kind of tough because first I started with the chronological list, and then I decided I had a couple of chronologicals, and then I just picked out my 3 favorite type of system. I mean, mechanics, and then just said, okay, this is what introduced me to it. So it's interesting how you even pick your 5 games.
Yeah, it was a great topic because I thought, I'm not really a grog. Can I do this list? And then I thought, do I need to pick out more grog-like games? And then I realized it's the grog I am, which is this. And then I did the same thing. It was a memory lane, and because I almost didn't put risk, and I thought, but that's the one where I knew I liked conflict, you know. And so great idea, great list. Thanks, guys. Wonderful.
Good.
So put your list on there. See you guys. HAMTAG.
We're out of here. Bonding with board games.
Woo, subscribe.
Bye.